Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Doste, a program in which we talk to change makers in the Indian-Australian community. Today, we have with us the recently arrived High Commissioner of India to Australia, Gopal Baglay. Welcome to Indian Link, High Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and good morning to all your listeners and viewers.
High Commissioner, you've been here just for over a month and you visited Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, and of course Canberra. What is it about Australia you have learned or come to know which you didn't know before?
Well, I of course know it's a very friendly country and it's a vast continent. What I have come to first-hand feel in my stay of just over 1 month in Australia is the enormous amount of enthusiasm for Australia-India relationship, deep appreciation of Indian culture, and the tremendous goodwill and good words for the Indian diaspora here.
Wonderful. High Commissioner, you joined the Foreign Service in 1992, just as Russia was opening up. Since that time, we have had 9/11, we're seeing the rise of China, the emergence of young India. But we're still currently grappling with violent conflicts, security threats, and other energy shocks. What do you see as challenges for today's diplomats, particularly Indian diplomats?
Pawanji, the challenges have varied, as you rightly said, in the 32 years that I have been in the diplomatic service. First of all, it's been a great privilege for me to be an Indian diplomat and representing India, and now, of course, representing India as the High Commissioner in Australia. It, I would say, is a great honor, a great privilege, also a great opportunity. Over the past 30 years, the profile of India has undergone tremendous transformation. When I joined the service, India had just launched its economic reforms after, I would say, very grave economic crisis and difficulty in India itself. You would all recall 1990-91. Today's India, when you look at today's India, it seems difficult to even visualize that at some point India would have gone through that. So obviously, the two changes which I have seen, which are most important in the responsibilities of Indian diplomats abroad, are first of all, the primacy of economic diplomacy, because with the growth of India as an economy, now we are the 5th largest, we are going to be the 3rd largest soon, more than $3 trillion economy. The Indian diaspora is everywhere in the world, including in Australia, a million and more. So the responsibility is to work very actively to forge economic partnerships with countries all over the world for trade, for investment, for technology, for greater connectivity. And the second change that I have seen, especially in the last decade, is the primacy accorded to serving the diaspora abroad, forging those links with the diaspora, sustaining those links, and in one word, if I if I may say, putting people front and center. So these are the two changes, and these changes, mind you, have come about in a time when the world is going through unprecedented changes. There are disruptions, not only because of COVID, but general situation in the world. There have been disruptions in the economy. There was a time, you would recall, in the year 2000, everybody was talking about the Y2K problem. But these 30 years have seen India's rise in an unprecedented manner. Our connecting back to our roots, our heritage, and giving the message to the world of growth, of hope, of stability, of predictability, and the fact that India is here not only just for itself and her own people, but for the global good. And that is a great strength for the Indian diplomats today, that India is recognized not only as the largest democracy, a rising economic power, but the mother of all democracy is a great civilization with which everybody wants to have good relations.
Let me dive into that a little bit further. When you retire and you write your book, which would be that one incident in your 32, 35, 38 years of diplomacy which could stand out for you?
Well, I'm not too sure I will write a book. And if I write, I think I will bear your question in mind.
Right. That's a lovely diplomatic answer. But do you want to follow that through? Is there any particular moment which you can share?
There are lots, actually. There are, of course, moments which fill us with pride. I think we were abroad on a number of occasions when the country had wonderful achievements and we happened to be in some way part of it. I really won't be able to pick one at this moment.
Fair enough. Now, High Commissioner, pundits are calling this century as China's century and pinpointing South China Sea as a potential flashpoint. Australia and India are working closely in the Quad Alliance. The Foreign Minister Jaishankar has used the word multipolar to describe the reality of the world we live in. How can the bilateral relationship between Australia and India manage the growing challenges from China in our respective parts of the Indian Ocean?
Pawanji, if I may ask you a brief question, a small question. I haven't heard of any Pandit who is calling this century China's century. Of course, people have said that this is Asia's century. Right. And when we speak of Asia, we of course speak of many countries, just not any one particular country. And increasingly, of course, it's not only just Asia or Asia Pacific, it is Indo-Pacific. You mentioned Australia and India, and you mentioned External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar's reference to multiplurality. And you see, today's world, as I said, is passing through unprecedented challenges. When it comes to Australia and India, we are both multicultural societies, diverse democracies. We have a lot of similarities. Of course, there are differences in terms of the size of the continent or the demography, but our challenges are very similar. But even more importantly, our vision is a shared vision. And what we believe in is an open and free Indo-Pacific, which is inclusive, which is resilient, which is sustainable, which is prosperous. And for that, as two large countries in this region, we cooperate very closely. And our cooperation, whether bilaterally or at any other fora in the world, including the Quad, is not directed against anyone, but we see it as a vehicle for global good.
Thank you. Now, as a precursor to the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, CECA, ICTA came into force amidst great fanfare about 14 months ago. But there is a perception that the momentum is slowing down. In fact, India's attention has shifted to an FTA with the UK, which is but natural. What is your read on this?
Well, I will let the figures and facts speak for themselves. In the 14 months or so that you mentioned of ICTA, I remember both the ministers, our trade minister and the Australian trade minister, writing articles after the first anniversary of ICTA on 29th December last year. And both of them referred to the gains to both the countries. So ICTA is a perfect example of a win-win outcome for both the countries. In this period of time, that is from December 2022 to December 2023, exports of both countries have grown to each other. There is increased access for Indian goods to Australian market. There is increased access also to certain Australian goods to Indian market. Some of the Australian products which were unknown in India few years ago are now becoming more and more popular. So this is of course an achievement which has benefited the people, benefited the economies of both the countries, particularly at this time when, as I mentioned, the global scenario is not of certainty and predictability in economic terms also. So this is an achievement on which both sides are very keen to build on. And as you would know and your viewers would also know, the CECA discussions and negotiations are going on. These negotiations sometimes deal with very specific matters which pertain to technicalities, and these of course take a bit of a time because a lot of stakeholders have to be consulted in both the countries, and it is not a question in my view of our discussions or negotiations on similar arrangements with any other country slowing down any other process. That doesn't happen because we have vast experience in having FTAs with many countries of the world. And in fact, I was the High Commissioner to Sri Lanka before coming to Australia, and if I recall correctly, in the late 90s, Sri Lankan FTA was the first that India had with any country. So these things are not really directly related to one another or to each other. We continue to remain engaged as governments, and as we also engage with industry, and we hope that the SICA discussions will continue to move forward.
High Commissioner, you have used the word diaspora a few times, not only today but in your speeches yesterday and day before yesterday. It's a term which has been bandied around quite a bit after Peter Varghese used it in his book, An Indian Economic Strategy. I'm aware that you have personally shown an interest in writing to the Indian Australians who were awarded honours in the Australia Day list, perhaps one of the first High Commissioners to do so. Can you share with us what Indian consulates and High Commissions are planning to do to harness the strength of the local diaspora?
As you know, Pawanji, the number of Indian diaspora is put around 1 million or more in Australia, which is a significant number. Both in terms of its absolute nature, 1 million is a strong number anywhere, but also in the context of the demography that this vast continent has. Our first priority, as I have repeatedly said, is to deliver the services that our people require anywhere in the world, whether it is consular, passport services, or coming to the assistance of our compatriots when they are in need, some emergency situation or difficulties. You have seen how various evacuation exercises have taken place. Australia has not seen some of those tensions, of course, luckily, but of course the COVID situation was there, and we needed to operate the Vande Bharat flights. So delivery to the people is very important. So our first priority of the High Commission and the consulates is to deliver these services in an effective manner, in a timely manner to our compatriots and also people of Indian origin. Of course, diaspora is a strength to the community and to the country where they exist, and also in terms of their linkages with India. It's a two-way bridge, and as I mentioned in the earlier part of our conversation, it's very heartening to see the reactions from the assessment and appreciation from the Australian, be it politicians or officials, about the contribution diaspora has made. You referred to the awardees of various honors and recognition of the work of Indian origin people. What it means to me as a newly arrived High Commissioner in Australia is that they are not making a mark just for themselves or their communities, but they are contributing to the larger Australian community in a diverse array of activities which benefit specific sections or wider sections of the community. So their experience, as well as the experience of all of you, is something which we intend to bring into our conversations, whether it is economy, whether it is investment, whether it is sports, whether it is culture. In every activity, Indian diaspora is contributing in Australia, and these are also the spheres where India and Australia are poised to build a stronger partnership. So it is quite logical that we look forward to contribution from diaspora in strengthening Australia-India relations as well.
Your Excellency, finally, my last question. In a recent interview, Australian High Commissioner to India, Philip Green, has shared his personal aspiration as having defence personnel in both countries working seamlessly in each other's joint headquarters. Your Excellency, I'm aware that it is very early in your tenure here, but what is that personal aspiration you would like to aim for during your tenure?
You are not asking about specifically sport, specifically defense?
No. Anything which you personally aspire over and above what your work is, anything which you think would cement the relationships or leave a mark?
Well, as you said, I am very early in my tenure. What you asked is a very deep question. It requires deliberation, but since you have put me on the spot. Look, there are two things. One is there is tremendous trust between India and Australia right now at all levels.
Yes.
there is a lot of positivity, a lot of energy for this relationship in both the countries. I would naturally like this to grow and this positivity and this trust to contribute to the relationship. Most important is economy and the relationship between people. I would say that in this world where supply chains have got disrupted, if in the areas, critical areas like renewable energy and maritime safety and security, if India and Australia can build a stronger partnership both bilaterally and contribute to the region, contribute to the benefit of our respective smaller neighbors in Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, to the Indo-Pacific at large. I think these two areas will be very important. Under Quad also we have these initiatives for health, for clean energy initiatives, for infrastructure. So my, I think I would think that perhaps the respective strengths which India and Australia have, they can come together for the benefit of the two countries in these areas, clean energy and maritime security. Just not for themselves, but for the whole region.
Fantastic. High Commissioner, thank you for your time today, and perhaps we can chat again in a few months as you get your feet on the ground.
I'm a very grounded person. I will retain my feet on the ground. Don't worry about that. Good to talk to you.
Good too.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.